Get on with the show. All right, we'll call the order at, what do you got for time?
12:34.
All right, and do the Pledge of Allegiance. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, thanks for coming on this sunny afternoon. We have a very large agenda because a lot of things are happening right now. We'll see if we can't move quickly. Could we have a roll call, please, Clerk Hearn?
Treasurer Hobbs.
Here.
Supervisor Bertrand.
I am here.
Trustee Detmer.
Here.
And Clerk Pern here. Trustee Monet absent.
Okay, so moving on to board comments, for the sake of moving this thing along, I don't have any. Any other board members?
I just got a call from Cheryl Halliday this morning saying something to do with the boat safety program on Saturday
Yes.
has 3 different conflicts, so she's going to be sending somebody to take pictures.
That's wonderful.
Okay, she asked me to call her back if I cared to, and I said, well, thanks for the notice anyways. So she'll be somewhere else.
She must like you more than me.
Yeah.
Okay, let me make sure that I got that in the announcements. Okay.
So we can't make any additions, correct?
We don't have,
Well, this is not a special meeting. We could.
that's right, it is a work session.
I would,
Let me finish writing that, and if there are no board comments, then we would move into the agenda. Are there any board comments, anybody, in general? Okay, we'll strike that, then moving into approval of the meeting agenda with additions or modifications. The agenda goes to 15, there is a 16 from me to add approval of Greg Fuelling as the Assistant Fire Chief. I have no other additions. Who's got something else?
I have one, which I just dropped the sheet in front of you guys. We need to approve the 2026 tax rate millages, and they're in front of you.
Okay, so tax rates. Are there any other additions suggested for the agenda? Hearing none, I'll move fast. So I'll make a motion that that the board approve the meeting agenda as amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, the same. Okay, that motion carries. So on to the agenda. Number 1 was a board discussion on Steve Reedy. I thought he'd be here. I had something I wanted to go over, and then, as always, it would be a board vote as to whether or not his services are still required or desired. He's not here. I'm going to scratch that because I think he does need to be here to be able to give his comment. That's part of the process.
I think that's a wise move.
So if it's all right with you guys, we'll scrap number 1 right off the bat. That brings us to number 2 on the agenda, and it's another one, a similar thing. It was listed as a discussion on the pay and process for the zoning administrator. Robert has asked to be paid by hour and more money. We have gone back and forth with the attorney several times. Robert has the attorney's answer. and he has something that he put together. I did not get a final attorney answer until yesterday. So Robert had asked me yesterday to read all of what he had put into his reply to the attorney. Again, without him here, if this can wait, I'm more comfortable with him being there at a board meeting. Apparently he had something that prevented him from being here. But I will read the last, this is the last from yesterday, from our attorney. His answer was, or answer in the chain of answers was, I have reviewed the attached documents, which are what I sent him. It appears he, meaning Robert, has rightly abandoned his argument that it is unlawful to pay him a salary. Now, as Paul originally suggested, he is really just asking for a raise. From a legal standpoint, there is not much input I need to give. He's asking to be paid more because he allegedly doing more work. The township is fully within its right to increase the salary as he requested. You are also within your rights to keep things just how they are, and if he leaves, then you'll have to find another zoning administrator to do the work. I would say that it is very reasonable to ask for a report or proof of hours worked, especially if he wants such a substantial raise. Most zoning administrators I know of who are paid on salary do not necessarily report their hours, but every month they will give a report to the board about what they did that month. Permits issued, properties visited, etc. He should certainly be doing that so you have an idea of what is going on. Let me know if that helps. In light of that, I'd like you to all consider, because I don't want to make a decision today, I really have no problem if he can document the amount of time that he's saying he's putting into this, considering a raise in somewhere in a 4 or 5 month period from now. But for now, I also have no problem with giving him cost of living for the, I believe, 2 years that he's been employed here. Maybe it's 3. But I'm throwing that out there and asking for other ideas. That's kind of where I would land if it comes down to we are going to suggest giving him a raise. So, not going to decide it today. You guys got any input on that? And certainly this answer from yesterday will get back to Robert, and we'll see if we can't get it resolved on the board with some more communication this week so that it can be finalized at the board meeting next week. What do you guys got on all of that? Anything?
I think he should be here to answer at least the last one. He should have all the information we have, and maybe he got it by email, but I like that particular answer. If he can prove the thing, get something in there. Get something in there in the way of proof of hours, and if you suggest was a fairly standard 3% cost of living raise for now, that's fine. And if he wants to negotiate something for, the fall months, the winter months, or whatever, that's good. But I'd like him here rather than discuss it without him.
I mean, he should be no different than the other hour employees. If he wants to be paid an hour, they turn in a timesheet, they list their hours, what they did, where they worked at, parks, cemetery, wherever. So, I mean, like, I don't have a problem paying the guy, but you got to say what have you done? Where have you been? How many hours did you put in at various locations? But you got to have them documented.
Well, that appears to be where this is heading. You're talking about 9 hours that we don't have documentation for. Certainly some of that is happening. I believe he's asking in the neighborhood of a $500 raise, or demanded one, actually. And I remember when we first started, he used to turn in a report for our monthly board meetings with the department head reports. Haven't seen one in a while. like I said, my thought is if he can prove that he's putting that many hours into it, then we can talk about a raise, but cost of living is fine with me for now.
What are you gonna, what if you give him a cost of living, what are you gonna base that off of?
Just the fact, all the cost of living is you've got another year of employment. You're not trying to go backwards. If the interest rate has raised, you would want to keep up with it at least.
But currently, he's not paid hourly. He's paid
He's paid X amount of money and he's asking for hourly.
right.
yeah,
But
you-
his cost of living, we can't, what are you gonna base his cost of living number at?
If it was 3% on whatever he's currently getting paid, we could add that to his salary. I don't know how it's gonna land.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out what some of the possibilities are. I have no problem with somebody getting cost of living. If they made it to work for a year, they should keep up with the interest rate.
Okay.
All right, I don't want to beat it to death, so we'll wait for Robert and move on from there. Okay, next on the agenda is next on the agenda is potential appointment for Jackie Danielson as Lyon Township Representative to the Higgins Lake Utility Authority Board. We didn't have a resume. I saw one today. I don't know if you brought it or you want to read parts of it, Mr. Hobbs.
No, it's 4 pages long.
It
I'm
is.
not reading it.
It is quite lengthy.
She was
But-
already appointed at our last meeting.
If it was, I voted no because of the resume, but if you got the resume now, that's great.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, we already appointed her.
Yeah. My mistake there.
Yeah, no problem.
So I believe you emailed that to Timothy? too?
Yeah, everybody's got it. It's just too
Okay.
long to read. It's,
Yep, she's been some places and done some things. Okay, I'll scratch that. Next is going to take a minute here to revisit the security camera grant for Phoenix Park. We approved just moving the old one over so we'd have a better look at the fish when the fish mound is there. Since then, I got some additional information. I wanted to share that today. I did give that information to all board members, emailed it probably a week ago. I don't know if you've had a chance to look it over, but it highlighted the stipulations for when you get a grant, some of the hoops you have to jump through, newspaper coverage, social media, proof, pictures, in order to satisfy the grantee. And in the case of the one we went over for the camera grant, excuse me, that was a power plant grant. The grant was for $2,225, and the board decided not to take that and to just go with the old camera. So what I found out in the last week is the power plant grants come up in cycles for fall and winter. No, fall and spring. And they can consistently be renewed for different projects. So right now, the spring one is $5,000, and it's, again, more for risk control and management. The initial point of trying to move that or get a new camera at Phoenix was to then try and get one at the compost site. So I just want to read through this again. The $2,225 award was for purchase of a new security camera. We decided not to buy a new one, so we can't use that money. The old camera, moved that over and installed $965.55. Purchasing a new camera using the grant money would be $4,346 in total, minus the $2,250 for the cost. So the cost of the township is approximately $2,096. The difference between the two to the township is about $1,131. The problem is, if we don't take the grant money from the power plant, their board of directors is not going to look favorably on that. So if we want to get money from them in the future, now that I understand how this works a little better, I just want to run the motion again to see if we can't use their money on the grant, satisfy their requirements so that we can then apply for more, and more did include trying to get a camera at the compost site. So all being said, and for the sake of discussion, Honor Security is aware of this. I'll make a motion that the board approve the contract with Honor Security to install a new camera at Phoenix Park, and that the power plan grant money be used for that purchase. Total cost would be $4,346 with the grant of $2,250. So do we have a second for the sake of discussion or not?
Sure, I'll give a second for discussion.
Okay, so that's where it's at. I was not aware about the spring and the fall. I thought it was yearly. That's somewhat significant, and I do appreciate that. The board, we go through submitting it, their board goes through it all, approves the money, and then we don't use it. That doesn't look good. And they do grants twice a year. I don't know if anybody else got a comment. Go ahead and make it. Okay, hearing none. On that motion to approve the contract for Honor Security for the new camera at Phoenix and use the power plan grant money for that purpose, can we have a roll call, please, Clerk Pern?
Sure. Treasurer House,
No.
Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
Clerk Pern, no. Trustee Detmer,
No.
Okay, the motion does not carry. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next, full board review, which the last time we went over this, there was only 4 of us here, and it got stalled at a 2-2 vote.
there's still 4 of us.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. This is backstory, the contract submitted for the approval to clear brush at the cemetery along West Higgins Lake Drive, kind of right over there. So you got a better view up into the cemetery, the back part of the cemetery. We've all had a chance to review the pictures at the last meeting in the proposed work area. Last meeting, the motion stalled at 2-2. The full board's here now, except we're missing another person, but I'll run it through anyway. We'll see. I'll make a motion that we do approve the contract from Landworks of Northern Michigan to complete the contract work for a cost of $3,105. Do we have a second on that? One more time for a second. Okay, hearing none, there will be no motion. Next. The next thing on here somewhat resolved itself today. Kodiak was here working on stuff. I was not sure if we needed 2 new computers and 2 new monitors. I was not sure if we had approved the purchase of the 2 monitors, because I didn't see it as something that came through the board. He was here today working on them, and he said that actually the request came from the fire department. I was down talking to Steve at the fire department, and we went over some of the preferred method of the Mother May I situation for requests for money or major changes. So they had asked Kodiak, they needed the monitors, and now I understand how that happened. I got no problem with it in the future. Most of those requests should come to the board first. But as far as approving a purchase of the 2 monitors, the wheel already got spun. And that would be monitors for the fire chief's office and the assistant fire chief's office. So that's in the hopper. Get rid of that. Next is an update on contracts pay status prior to consent agenda for both the buoy install at Samoset by, and I'm not sure who did it, I couldn't remember the name, and the leaf moving in the compost site by the Roscommon County Road Commission. I do not want things that were not brought up before the board with a contract proposal to pop up in the consent agendas. It's happened a couple of times. I prefer that that doesn't happen. So when we, in the consent agenda, if we're paying somebody a large amount of money to do something that did not come from in front of the board first, it is my preference to not do those kind of things. I may have missed it, but of those two, I'm not sure. I didn't see Roscommon County Road Commission payment for the leaves or the buoy install in the last month's one, but I might have missed it. I have an email from the Roscommon County Road Commission dated, this is June 24th, sorry. Went to me and Teresa Wagner, the clerk at Denton, about confusion. Apparently they sent an invoice to them from Lyon Township, or it should have been sent to Lyon Township. So I don't know what happened. Somebody fill me in. I'd greatly appreciate it. My personal position is big money needs to come before the board. So where are we on this, on those two things?
You got something on the compost side? I have nothing.
Samuel said the same guy who did it last year did it this year, so it's $400. Not a big deal. The leaf movement was, and I have still yet to see a bill from them. So I'm not sure. That was in regards to moving that pile, because we really couldn't accept anymore until we got half of it moved towards the back. So yeah, that probably should have came to the board. That was my call on that, because at that point we would have to close the compost until we got some of that moved. So I wanted to get at least some of it moved until we hired this a new guy that's going to be his sole job, is moving that material. So
All right, so, you know, emergencies don't count. You would just, again, I'll give you my opinion, because that's what was told to me. If it happened and, you know, you bring the bill into this meeting and say, I got in a bind, and that's what I did.
yeah,
The buoys, though, you and I talked about this. That guy put them in, did not put them in well. They were falling over, and I said, you got a contract? And you said, well, if he's going to have to come back and do it right, or I won't pay him. So we don't have a contract, or we do with that guy. We had one last year for about 14, maybe 1,500 bucks,
Yeah.
plus the cost of the pipes. That was in and out, 400 in, 400 out.
Yeah, it's 400 in, 400 out is what he's charging. Same as last year, he said.
Okay, so we don't have a contract, or we do?
I don't have anything from him yet.
Did
I
he
told
get-
him,
Did he get paid?
no, we haven't paid him
Okay.
yet. So
And if you
I
bring
told him,
something-
give me something in writing, so when you do submit a bill, you can get paid, so. But it's gonna be the same price as last year.
All right, that works for me, and whoever went out and redid them, they are much better now. That's great.
Yeah, he said they went out and screwed him all the way, they couldn't turn it anymore.
Perfect. Was it him again, or was?
Yeah, him and Richard.
Okay, good. Great.
I do have to add something about, we talked about some of them falling over, and some people had moored their boats to them. Well, I didn't see any of that at Phoenix until the 3rd of July.
I bet.
And then, oh, no, I went wading. I went down there. There's one boat, and then there was two kids with little kayaks, and they were hooked up to them. And you could see every time the wind blew the waves and the boats moved, the buoys moved. So I just said, I'm sorry, you can't do that. You know, you have anchors on boats for sure, and the kayaks are gonna have to be tied up somewhere else, but they can't be here. And they said, okay, we didn't know that. And I said, well, there isn't a rule. This is kind of like common sense, I would say. If something's there for the protection of the swimmers. And not a single boat, though, I will say this, that for this year, A single bolt went inside those things that I saw, so that was an improvement.
We've, I've had discussions with you guys here more than anyone else, but as public servants, you know, people are gonna hook up to things, people are gonna do things stupid. My position is they are by far the minority of people. We're somewhat responsible to figure out how to get things in there that are gonna work if somebody hooks up to them, because we certainly aren't gonna unmark a swimming area. So now that a second attempt was made to drive them in deeper, and that seems to have worked better, maybe that should happen at Phoenix, I don't know.
Could we stencil on the buoys, do not moor a boat to this buoy?
Probably, yeah.
Why do we do that? Kind of make it idiot-proof.
I don't know if that'll help.
Part of the problem, and I haven't been to the South State Park this year, but they may have tried to resolve this by leaving kind of an alley that a boat can get to the shore for people who want to go to the bathrooms or use the park. You know, we don't have that, but the placement is deeper, which is great. Now they're screwed into the ground, great. Maybe we can get some stencil or something on them. What I saw, I didn't see boats, I saw kayaks. Kids on kayaks coming up, want to go to the park, want to use the bathroom, hooking up. But they were already kind of, they're in better now, so great. Okay. When we come to talking about how spending happens, we'll have to clear up what we as a board decide is a limit that does not need approval or emergent, and again, emergency spending, that's a whole different deal. But we'll get there, because that's coming up in here. We're not going to solve it today, but it is coming up. Okay, well, actually, it's coming up right now. How's that? Been kicking around, excuse me. What's the date on this? Is from January. That I had been talking with the attorney about trying to get a spending limit for which departments could spend money, how much money. We went through this at 2 different board meetings and it was never resolved. Since then, I know that the clerk's office had found it, or thought that there was a motion putting a limit on some of the spending. And in the process, there was an older one from the 1990s that our attorney said, don't use that, it's too old. And apparently we don't have really a purchase agreement. So we need to kind of take care of that. Doesn't have to happen today, but we need to move in that direction. So he sent me a sample of a purchase agreement that I emailed to everybody. And if that didn't work, there's another one. So it's about 4 or 5 pages. Typically with him, this is standard stuff. The important part being that along with this, we need to decide, or we need to have it in writing, in my opinion, we need to have it in writing, which department can spend how much money without board approval. So in his answer, which came last week. So attached is a sample purchasing policy. You can change just about every part of this as you or the board sees fit. You/board, he's not saying me. There is no hard set law as long as you adopt and follow a written policy, which again, I don't know that we have one. If the board approves the purchase of something, it is usually at the request, and Kevin, you and I talked about this, about who follows through when something is approved. He's saying if the board approves the purchase of something, it is usually at the request of a board member or a department. That department head or board member can be in charge of purchasing it, or the clerk treasurer can as the, quote, keepers of the checkbook. If it is board approved, it doesn't really matter who actually buys the thing. And that's what I was really looking for there. As long as they get all the paperwork in order and can get a check from the clerk and the treasurer. So our current situation is Ann buys things regularly up to a certain amount of money. She told me she never has tried to order anything over $400. This certainly kind of indicates that if it was for the clerk's office, we could decide that they handle it, same as treasurer's office or supervisor, which a lot of that is Parks and Rec stuff, or we could decide not to. I know in the past there was conversation about the clerk is in charge of this money and we shouldn't be spending it without the clerk. So that's the information. Please look at it, think about it, and by next week, well, we can talk a little bit today, but by next week, I'll try and come up with a draft of something in regards to who can spend what, when, and where. And if you got things you want to add to an actual purchasing, the purchasing agreement has to do with, you know, part of that is big money gets bids. Of course, you can select somebody you want and ignore a bid process, but there's, I have seen the previous township put bids in the paper for projects, and you can certainly do that, but we don't have a purchasing policy here that we can find that says you're supposed to do that. It's probably a wise idea. In the end, you don't have to go with the little bit. You can go with who you trust. So I'll shut up. You guys got anything to say about that, but look it over and we'll revisit it next week.
Well, I have maybe a couple things to say. We have gone under the assumption, and perhaps an incorrect assumption, that a number of years back, and I don't mean back as far as 1990, but probably into the teens, where it was $1,000 for the clerk's office and $500 for the treasurer's office. And we have not found any written agreements like that. I haven't found a motion. I haven't found anything. I've looked, my deputy has looked, the treasurer has looked. We can't find that. So I guess I'm just wondering why. I'm a big fan of Mr. Bila. I'm a big fan of him, but I don't see why he's involved in this at all. This is something small. This is our little township. He does offer opinions on many things, and he is representing a lot of different people. But I don't see any reason to have a change. I think maybe what we do need is a motion to set something straight and take a vote when there's 5 of us there, just so they all have an opinion on it. But yes, and anytime there's something that has to be ordered, more than just office equipment, office supplies, that kind of stuff, she comes in and we talk about it, and you know, if it's a worthwhile thing or something that's fairly standard, great. We can make a standard fee. I don't see any reason to change from the clerk treasurer right now. Maybe there will be some. Maybe Steve and Kevin have something to say about that today. I don't think they're unsatisfied with the way things have been going, but obviously there is some dissatisfaction and some confusion as to what I think a new motion may make all that very clear. But great, we'll continue at another time. Okay.
I just got a correction here too. It says, as long as they get the paperwork in order, we can get a check from the clerk or treasurer. The treasurer does not write accounts payable checks.
No.
So that, I only write checks to when it involves taxes and millages, so that is strictly a clerk's deal, not, I'm receivables, so that it should not say that in there.
Well, he's just giving an opinion
Yeah.
of something, and that particular part of it wasn't correct, but nevertheless.
Um, My personal opinion is we need a purchase agreement signed to cover our ass. That's a different situation than who buys what within the township and for how much money without board approval. So I hear you. We can keep talking about this, hopefully come to some kind of an agreement. The issue before has been when the clerk's office gets pressed, and this just recently happened with the elections, and doesn't have time to do the purchases, it gets funneled off, which is fine. If maybe there needs to be a limit on that. But for the grant application money for the Clean Boats, Clean Water presentation this coming Saturday, Teresa stepped up and ordered that, which is fine if we, in the future decide that. But there was no tracking on the order, it didn't show up, and then we found out a couple days ago they never even got it. Not Teresa's mistake, but to me a mistake in the process where if you have various people tracking various things, I don't think that's the best way we can do business. So we can certainly talk about it more or think about it more, but if the board votes to not have a purchase agreement, that's fine. If the board votes to keep things the same way, next week, that's the decision. I don't need to belabor it any more than that. Next, this is another thing that somewhat resolved itself. Town Line Road, Lakeshore, Veterans Park area, maintenance responsibility. I got a call from a lady last week who said the boat launch down there, the area is not maintained around the Veterans Park. I said, okay. I said, I'm not sure. To me, the dividing line between the townships is the center of Town Line Road. So this is actually, or it appeared to me, to be in Garish Township. And I said, our maintenance crew says not them. I said, you could ask Garish, maybe it's them, I don't know. And then I sent an email to Brian Hill asking about it, and I made what I thought was a reasonable suggestion. We take care of the dock, we put it in, we take it out, we rebuild it when it's broke. Considering the center line of the road, maybe if you do the maintenance, we do the dock, we're one big happy family going forward, because it gets used by both Garish and Lyon. Before he got that email, a different board member there came in and pointed out that that's all in Lyon Township. And I don't think so. But anyway, Brian Hill got a hold of me and said he's aware, and Sam, you might know something, that there is an agreement that boat launch area is all Lyon Township. Okay, that's his version, okay? So you see where I'm going here. Both sides are kind of saying, I have no problem with a mutual agreement with them. You do something, we do something. For God's sakes, let's not fight about it.
I'll give you the answer.
He cited something, what do you got?
Back in the day, there was a mutual agreement when there was no room on Lyon Township side for the launch. So it was agreed upon in Garish to have a memorial, the announced memorial there in Garish with community support maintaining it. That was the agreement.
Then that's what appears to have fallen, is that the person who called me said there was a lady who used to do it, who is no longer around. This is one of those things I think with a little cooperation we should be able to resolve. My other question was, why isn't the AMVETS involved in that?
It was Lyon Township Board that helped promote the Vietnam Memorial. And we voted on it. We talked to other organizations to let them know what the intent was. We didn't necessarily need any other veteran support it was a Lyon Township, but a couple of us were on the board at the time, brought it to our attention. Good idea, had to go through. In fact, they had a state representative there acknowledging the plaque and the formality. But it was Lyon Township board that Garish approval using their land for the memorial.
Okay, that makes sense. You got something quick there?
Yeah, I go down there and trim the weeds a couple times a year, and I blow the leaves out in the fall, just because.
And that, apparently that,
Maintenance.
yeah, apparently that all worked until somebody saw that it wasn't working anymore. But it certainly didn't turn, I mean, Garish came over and weed whacked and did some stuff, and I certainly heard about it, and then I also heard other things that I'm not going to share. I still think it's something we ought to be able to work from both sides and just take care of. For God's sake, it's for the veterans. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna keep going down there.
All right, well, I appreciate that effort. If both maintenance crews are saying no, maybe it'll come down to the supervisors trying to get the boards to agree on something. Okay. Excuse me. Unfortunately, Timothy is not here. This one was heading his way. Number 10 is a discussion on tracking swimmer's itch and contact information from the Higgins Lake Foundation to report cases. Had two ladies call me last week, bad swimmer's itch on their kids, went through the whole routine of stay out of shallow water, towel off. But they wanted to report it, and they said they were trying to report it. And John Barty, you might know something about this. We're trying to report it, and that the website, is it Greg Seamak's email? Somewhere?
Actually, Duncan Lawrence is the chair. I have a good friend sitting next to me. This is the Swimmers Itch is not the foundation, Higgins Lake Foundation. That's the Higgins Lake Swimmers Itch, HLSIO, which Marty is the treasurer, so she can probably give you a lot more information on that.
Well, let me finish, and then, yeah, anything would help at this point. Apparently, what's there, like, they don't get a response. Do you know if somebody is looking at it, they're just not responding?
Just so it's on the record.
All right.
So right now I'm,
You'll have to turn that one on.
Got
Should be good.
now it's on. So Higgins Lake Swimmers Itch Organization, HLSIO.org is the website, and there is a tab that you can click on to report it, okay? And yes, there's a couple of us who log into the website and can respond to people when they, report it. The problem is that out of the last 4 out of 5 years, the DNR has not approved the relocation of the merganser ducks.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. There was 1 year in the last 5 years that they did approve it, but then the avian flu came about and they have not approved it. This year they said they would not approve the relocation of the merganser ducks, and the reason we relocate them is we take them to Lake Huron. Lake Huron doesn't have the same snails that we have at Higgins Lake, and it's the snails that cause the parasite, okay? And then the parasite gets in our skin and makes us itch, okay? So the DNR said they would not approve the relocation of the merganser ducks because of the avian flu. But if we wanted to make a request to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, they would agree to whatever U.S. Fish and Wildlife agreed to. U.S. Fish and Wildlife has been putting it on the back burner and putting it on the back burner, has chosen to not make a decision. So we're really kind of stuck with what the DNR says. Okay, so that's why Swimmer's Itch is rearing its ugly head this year.
Is it a matter of funding for moving these ducks?
No, because HLSIO has the money and has contracted with a company to gather, I'm not sure what the right word is, but anyway, they, get the ducks and take them in cages over to Lake Huron. HLSIO pays for that, so it's not even DNR. But you have to have the permits from the DNR to be able to capture the mergansers and take them to a different location. And the deal with mergansers is once they are located in a new place and have their brood, they go back to the same place. That's why they don't come back here. They imprint in their new place. But now for the last 4 to 5 years, that hasn't happened. So they kind of like Higgins Lake right now.
So how do we get a permit?
Somebody who knows and can operate and can work the DNR system to get that permit would be the best thing. They still claim it's avian flu, although I think the numbers for avian flu, I don't know that specifically, but I think the numbers for avian flu are down.
So, let me back up. So when they submit something, there's nothing like, thank you, we got it. They don't get a reply.
I think that HLSIO could be better at replying. We certainly can, yeah. And I think what I'll request at our next meeting is that one person be responsible for replying so that we know somebody gets an answer. So
Okay, and
I
then-
agree, we need to be better at replying.
And watch this, Mr. Hobbs. I would like to suggest that Timothy Monet be ad hoc.
'Cause he's not
in
here.
charge. He's not here, so.
We just got voluntold.
But that was my thing anyway, because being at the store, he's gonna hear
He's gonna
a
hear
lot
about
of this.
Mhm.
I had initially thought that just track it. I mean, if it's
Right.
like happening all the time, but maybe he would, this board can vote him in charge of trying to figure out how to get a permit. I don't want to do that to him.
Right.
But maybe we could certainly, in duck season, I'll take them all. But that's a different story. Okay, yeah, the main thing was, I guess people are like, what do I do? Because I'm not getting anything. So maybe if it's just, we got it.
Right. I can definitely do that, and I can definitely work on that, and we'll, and I think that there's some things on our website that need to be updated a little bit more information for people. But we have some things of suggestions of what they can do if they get it, some suggestions of ways to prevent it. So I think that maybe just getting HLSIO.org out there might help too.
Well, if we're gonna make a case, tracking it certainly is gonna matter.
Well, and I think that making a case is going to make it more abundant and more plain to DNR that something needs to happen.
Right.
Because
Without
it's
that, there-
miserable. I saw some pictures this weekend of some really miserable cases of swimmer's itch.
And it's sporadic. On the south end, my family's cottage has been there forever. Nothing. Got grandkids coming in and out. I think a lot of it it floats to the surface,
Sure.
prevailing wind blows it somewhere with the scum line.
Right. Right.
Quickly, what you got?
Just as a point of reference, swimmer's itch is person oriented. My next door neighbor can pick up poison ivy, do whatever she wants. She can play right next to her grandchildren on the beachfront. Never gets a single item of swimmer's itch. 2 of her grandchildren blow up like a balloon. So
Yeah,
something with,
It's very particular. It's very particular. I don't
Another
think
thing
we don't have the answer for that.
if
But
you
you're
root,
right.
yeah, if you root around in the shoreline, your chances are going up, because I used to do a lot of metal detecting right in on the shoreline.
Yep.
Where kids are gonna normally be screwing around. Okay, well, that's great.
Deep water, you're not going to have any problems.
Right, that's great, and if anybody calls again,
Yep.
and I will see if Mr. Monet would like to start collecting reports from the store there at least.
Okay.
And maybe we can start a process that brings us back into where somebody's paying attention.
So just put a note that it's HLSIO.org.
How about you say that one more time in the
Okay.
microphone?
Put it on our Facebook page, website.
The website to report on swimmer's itch is HLSIO.org.
So if somebody goes there, it's active, I can.
Yep, yes,
All
it's
right, I can
active,
get
and
it.
there's a tab for reporting.
All right, I'll get that to our Facebook coordinator.
Thank you.
Thank you much. All right. And That takes care of that part. Number 12.
Happened to 11.
I went right past it. That's what happened to it.
Okay.
Number 11. Initial discussion for this board on ORV golf cart road use in regard to conflicting state and county laws. I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago with for the supervisors and Roscommon Township Association. Apparently, there are some conflicting laws, and Richfield is trying to pull it together on this. Examples being, apparently, if you look at laws, one will tell you you need to drive your ORV with one wheel on the gravel. Another one will say you need to have both wheels on the pavement. And another one apparently says you need both wheels off the pavement. So they were trying to work on something or pull something together. I was going to ask, I know Mr. Detmer is real busy, but you do certainly have some police background. If I asked them to forward what they might be doing, would you be willing to kind of take a look at that stuff and see if there's something that we could give input on or that would help us here? Or?
Personally, I think you're just wasting your time because I see 8-year-olds driving side-by-sides down the road with nobody with them. I see people driving down the road drinking a beer while they're driving their ORVs. I see people hanging off all over them. I think you're just wasting your time. You can put all the ordinances you want out there. If the county's not going to be doing any law enforcement, it's not going to happen.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to try and get a hold of Ray and see what they come up with and see if it might be of any use. When one of my grandchildren got a golf cart a few years back, and I checked with the Roscommon Sheriff's Department, State Police, everybody, and you know this. They're not going to go chasing those things down. Somebody complains, they'll go look. But I think this had more to do with constant traffic in high traffic areas. People not understanding. I bet everybody sitting in here has been behind a four-wheeler trying to figure out when you can get around them safely. So the law is either they stay on the road and you aren't screwing around trying to get around them, or they're not even supposed to be on the road, or something in between. Let me see where they're going with that stuff. Okay, that brings us to number 12. I don't have any handouts on this, but I can tell you what happened. This has got to do with our rental agreements for Park 27 Pavilion, on occasion the Park 27 ball field, and the Township Hall rental policies. I was at Park 27 putting some signs up, and this was not 4th of July weekend, the one before. A food truck pulled in there, and I was kind of curious because I thought maybe he's just using the bathroom. Anyway, he starts setting up, so I went up to him and talked with him, and this is something that had never crossed my mind. Whoever rented the pavilion made arrangements to have a food truck there. We have a policy that you need a permit for a food truck. I wanted to bring it up today for the board because I talked with Ann about this. It would also possibly apply to the hall rental here. Not that anybody's beating the door down to do it. But in our policy, it says certain things that they're responsible for, and we have a permit application that keeps the onus of anything going wrong off of us, that they have to sign. Well, if it's part of a pavilion rental or the ball field or something else, that's not in there. What do you guys think about maybe adding to the language that the language in the rental agreement that if there was a food truck used, that you need to get the permit from the township? Somewhat of a simple thing, maybe not. The way that it reads now, the rental's liable for all damages. Renter understands that damages exceed deposit, they're responsible. It would just be an addition right in there about, if a food truck is used, need a permit from the township.
Yeah, you might as well, because You need one if they're coming to a concert, so.
Yeah, it's a similar, I doubt it happens often, but I get it, they've rented, I
Yeah.
think they had 35 people, getting a food truck's a great idea, if you can afford it. But we can't be responsible for somebody getting food poisoning, that's part of that permit thing.
Yeah, I'd add it to it.
Well, I think it does sound like a good idea from the standpoint of the people that are doing the rental. It'd save a lot of wear and tear, a lot of food dragging out of the cars and all kinds of stuff like this. But however, if you remember with some of the get-togethers we've had in the past, we had to apply for things and we had to have people come by and look to see what we were serving, how it was done, and we had to jump through a few hoops. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why not to do that, attach something to that for
Yeah.
our own protection.
Yeah, the food truck eliminates all the onus on the people renting. Like you said, having everything squared away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything from you on that, Mr. Detmer?
I agree.
All right, well, I tell you what then, I'm gonna make a motion that we add to the rental agreements that any use of food trucks needs to be permitted by the township.
Second.
Okay, we have a second for that. Any additional discussion? And hearing none, potentially we make money, so could we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Sure. Cliff Kern, yes. Treasurer Huff,
Yes.
Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes, so that'll carry 4-1.
4-0.
I'm sorry, 4-0, and I'm so used to saying one. And I will pass on to Ed to have that, or Ann to have that language added. Okay. Couple of quick ones here, because I think I know where this is going to go. The backstory in the past, I've discussed and made motion on creating a health and safety committee to serve Lyon Township Board and the residents. I believe we need one. All the buildings should have a different set of eyes going over them on a regular basis. This failed as a motion before. I couldn't remember. I'm not even sure it got a second. I'm bringing it up again, and including, this would be the difference, that committee include a board member, a fire department member, a maintenance member, office staff, and a librarian. That includes all the buildings we have. To do a walkthrough inspection every 2 months and present their findings for consideration to the township board. That's where I'm at. I'll make a motion that Lyon Township approve the creation of a health and safety committee for the purpose of building inspections every 2 months. Do I have a second? And one more time on a second. Okay, hearing none, there is no motion. That brings us to 14. Again, backstory on this. I'm on a discussion on a new recording of the board meeting minutes policy and approval by the board. I brought this up before a couple of months ago too, and I believe it failed. It did make it as a motion. This came originally from the attorney. The original motion was that all board members review the minutes and reply to Clerk Pern within 6 days, to be published in 8 days. That motion failed. Possibly that's too aggressive. I'm going to run it a different way this time, too aggressive of a time frame. Personally, I have no ear for board members not wanting to be involved in this minutes review, but that's me. So I'm going to make a motion that all the board members either sign off on, as is, or include their suggested changes for all board meeting minute drafts that Clerk Pern, supplies within 8 days. Clerk Pern can then present a final minutes version for approval in a board meeting's consent agenda. Do we have a second for that? And one more time on the second. Okay, hearing none, there is no motion. Number 15, Timothy's not here. That had to do with update on a fertilizer application setback. I know he had been working on it. I guess we don't know, or maybe at the board meeting, I'll bring it up again and see where he's at on that. That would bring us to 16. What am I missing here? Okay. 16, excuse me. Chief Fay sent us all an email. So that had to do with Greg Fwelling as, asking the board to approve Greg Fwelling as Assistant Fire Chief effective immediately. I believe you all got it. I'll make a motion for board approval on the appointment of Greg Fwellings to Assistant Fire Chief effective immediately. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion from the board? Okay, hearing none, discussion will end. Could we have a roll call vote on that also, Clerk Byrne?
Yes. One second here. Okay. Because there is some money involved, there's a small raise. Yeah, okay. Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
Treasurer Hunt,
Yes.
and Clerk Kern, yes.
Okay, that motion carries 4-0.
I forgot to mention, he was the assistant chief for many years, wasn't he?
Who was? Oh,
Greg.
Yeah, I guess he was, and then he wasn't.
I think he was for a
the
while.
story that I heard was that somebody else stepped down. He offered to step down so somebody else could vacate their position to take the vice chair. I know you're gonna get in on this, Chief, in a minute. I think it was Craig, was it not, that stepped down from chief to assistant, because then he could be a board member as well. And so that was some of the backstory. Yeah, if he's got some former experience, that's all the better.
To me, this falls into that we hired the guy to make some of these decisions, and this is one of them. It comes to the board, we approve it or we don't. It's fine with me. If he thinks that's the way to go. Okay, so that motion's passed. That brings us to tax rates. What do you got here? What are we looking at?
We just gotta approve this, you guys, you and the supervisor and the clerk have to sign it
What?
and send it to the county clerk, just saying we agree with these are for the winter, the millages. So I went over with Julie this morning and she's good with it, so if you guys could just sign it and send it on to Michelle at the county. But it has to be done by board vote, so,
Yeah, well, have to do it.
yeah.
In the process of doing this, how much longer do we got on that, the fire millage? Is one over at the end of this year? Did you get into any of that, or?
Yeah, it'll have to be on the ballot for next year for the equipment fund,
And then the following year for the other one?
and the following year for the,
For the fire fund.
for the fire fund, yeah.
Well, hopefully, we're looking good when those come up. So, for the sake of any discussion, I'll make a motion that the board approve the 2026 tax rate request, millage request report to the County Board of Commissioners. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion from the board? Hearing none. Roll call us again, please, Clerk.
Okay, Treasurer Hunt,
Yes.
Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
and Clerk Kern, yes.
Okay, the motion carries 4-0. I signed it, there it is for you.
Yeah. You didn't give me a date. Come on now.
Oh, I can do that.
No, sure.
Whoops. That's why I didn't put a date on it. I don't know what day it
Oh,
is.
you don't know what day it is.
It's all right. It's in pen.
All right.
Cover it up.
Okay, you and Julie need a copy when we're done, because we'll
Yeah.
put one in the file then, okay?
Yep.
Great.
Mine or yours?
Okay.
Yours, I hope. Okay, there were no other additions that I'm aware of
No,
on the agenda, so
you just had announcements.
we can get into announcements. This Friday will be the kind of official reveal and put it into use for the handicap swing that we got from the PARG, let me get this right. MSU Warehouser grant, I believe. We got 3 of them in the hoops right now. So they're they will have it installed by then. We'll go down and take some pictures, give people their due. I'm not sure, apparently somebody from the newspaper might be at the second one, not this one. But if you want to come down Friday at 11 o'clock, you will see that we have a new handicap swing and the accessibility to it, which is actually, this is the final piece of all of the American Disabilities Act complaint from last year. For now, there's a grant in to redo the whole park, but that's the final piece. That is Friday at 11. On Saturday at 11, Laura Piakowski will be down there. We got grant money and materials from MSU for Clean Boats, Clean Water. So there's a sign down there already, and there's also one at Phoenix Park. They gave us a bunch of material that will end up hanging off of that sign, or it'll be available there for people to scrub. Primarily there, you're talking about paddleboards and kayaks. For people to scrub them off, keep them clean, some literature explaining it all. So Laura will do a presentation with her son, who will be, high school son, who will be the designated in and out guy with a kayak showing everything off. And then we end up with a bunch of material that we'll leave there and be available for people to use to clean and rinse their boats off. And eventually there are 3 presentations associated to this grant allocation. There'll be another one at Phoenix. I don't know the date. Might be pretty quick. And then a 3rd one back at Samoset, all before summer is over. So if you feel like coming down there and seeing that happen, that's at 11 o'clock on Saturday.
What's the time for the Friday one?
They're both 11
Oh,
o'clock.
both 11. Yeah, okay.
Switch things here and do the last one. I just want to let everybody know, and on the board here especially, I'm going to present some motions soon for moratoriums in Lyon Township on data centers and storage unit businesses in certain areas. Just a heads up that that's coming. Again, when I go to the meetings for RTA with the other supervisors, we joined in with the no solar. Of course, we can't do anything if they decide to do something on state land. But a moratorium in itself doesn't say no. It says we're going to put a halt on it and we're going to do a lot of thinking and some research before we make a final decision. I'm going to present them. If they pass, then we are on our way to looking at that more closely and making a decision down the road. Last thing on announcements, John, you're here now. I had this on there about the well testing from the Higgins Lake Foundation. I have some questions for you if you're ready.
Yeah, you bet. I do have a prepared statement for you too.
Okay, how about we'll just wait till you get into comments and
Sure, and if I can represent Foundation for a minute and then maybe represent myself as a Lyon Township person.
only if you do a lap around the chairs once and then come
I'll
back.
do that. I would take my shirt off too. Yeah, don't worry.
I suspect that would be fine. Okay, so that does then bring us to public comment. Who would like to come up and say something or expound in any way?
Good afternoon. My name is John Barta, and I am a trustee of the Higgins Lake Foundation. I would like to respond to comments made by Supervisor Bertrand during the June 24th Lyon Township work session regarding the Higgins Lake Foundation and our Be Well Wise water testing program. Before discussing that program, however, I think it's important for residents to understand who the Higgins Lake Foundation is and why this program exists. For the past 37 years, the foundation has had one mission: to promote ecologically sound projects and practices for the protection of Higgins Lake and its surrounding watershed. Every single project we undertake is evaluated against that mission. Anyone who has enjoyed Higgins Lake has benefited from the foundation's work. The foundation funds and operates the Dash Boat that removes invasive Eurasian water milfoil from the lake, investing tens of thousands of dollars each year to protect swimming and boating. The HLF funded the first public boat wash on Higgins Lake and helped establish the other public boat wash stations that are available free of charge. It provides seasonal staff at the South State Park Boat Launch to help visitors clean, drain, and dry their boats to prevent the spread of invasive species. The foundation has helped fund the Sheriff's Marine Patrol boats and pays for additional marine patrols. It awards college scholarships to Roscommon High School students. It supports shoreline restoration through Greenbelt grants and has educated hundreds of local fourth grade students about watershed stewardship and protecting Higgins Lake. These are not political projects. They are stewardship projects undertaken for the benefit of everyone who lives on or visits Higgins Lake. That brings me to the Be Well Wise program, the free well water testing. The purpose of this program is simple. First, to help families understand the quality of the water they drink every day. Second is to improve our understanding of groundwater quality throughout the Higgins Lake watershed, so future environmental decisions can be based on facts rather than assumptions. The idea for this program did not come from politics. It came from seeing drinking water problems emerge in nearby Michigan communities, such as Lake Marguerite and Wexford counties. We believe the responsible question is not, what do we think, but rather, what do we actually know? Unfortunately, several statements Supervisor Bertrand made during the June 24th meeting mischaracterized both the purpose of this program and the foundation's intentions. Mr. Bertrand said that the foundation would use their test results for whatever they want, and that participation should therefore be viewed with suspicion. As the sponsor of the program, I can tell you that is not an accurate description or intention of the program. Participation is entirely voluntary. Testing is performed by Raven Analytical Laboratories in Roscommon using their standard protocols. Homeowners receive their own laboratory report. The foundation has nothing to do with the analysis, is not involved in diagnosing problems or directing homeowners to take any action. And we do not contact them if contaminants are found. Decisions remain entirely with the property owner. Participants are informed that a copy of their laboratory results may also be shared with the foundation and, where appropriate, with public health or environmental agencies to better understand water quality across the watershed. Personal privacy is protected, and participant names and contact information will not be published. Supervisor Bertrand also suggested that there are no wells in Lyon Township with harmful contaminants. I respectfully ask, how can anyone make that statement without comprehensive testing? Statements like that are dangerous, hazardous to the health of the community, and simply not true. The purpose of testing is not to prove there is a problem. It is to determine whether there is a problem. Good science does not begin with conclusions. It begins with collecting reliable information. The Higgins Lake Foundation has no hidden agenda. Our agenda is the same one we have had for nearly 4 decades: protecting Higgins Lake, protecting its watershed, and protecting the people who call this community home. If residents have questions about the BOY's program, we welcome those questions, and we encourage everyone to ask them, learn how the program works, and make their own informed decision based on facts, not fear, speculation, or information. Okay, that's what I have. However, if permitted, I would like to formally address another question that Supervisor Bertrand asked during the June 24th meeting that may add an additional couple minutes to this, if I can be permitted.
If, I have no problem with that, but I have some questions for you. Maybe we'll get to it.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What I had put out, and it's still on the table over there, was that I was not going to support doing this until I had a chance to get some answers to questions. Primarily, the test results will be shared with the public health and environmental agencies. Is that accurate?
They may be, we have not made that decision. Okay, right now, the whole onus is to get information on drinking wells individually to individual people. So it is possible, we are not there yet. In fact, let me finish reading my statement. That might answer your question, all right? Supervisor Bertrand asked, and I quote, "What's wrong with notifying them, BOY's participants, where you want to send the data?" The answer is simple. We do notify them. Every participant signs a consent form before participating. That form clearly explains that a copy of the laboratory results will be provided to the Higgins Lake Foundation, and that the foundation may share the results with public health or environmental agencies to better understand water quality across the lake watershed. Nothing is hidden and nothing happens without the participants' consent and knowledge. The foundation is not collecting this information to promote a particular policy or predetermined outcome. We are collecting it to better understand drinking water quality in our watershed. If over time enough anonymous data is collected to identify trends, that information could help guide future environmental stewardship efforts. The important point is that participants know exactly what they are agreeing to before they decide whether to participate. No one is required to participate, and no one will be surprised by how the information may be used. Transparency has been a guiding principle of the BOY's program from the beginning, and that is exactly why the consent form spells out how the data may be used before anyone signs it. One might ask another question: why is the foundation collecting the data? And the answer is because individual test results help one homeowner. Aggregated results without identifying participants help us understand the health of the watershed. That's how you identify trends, direct stewardship efforts, and make future decisions based on evidence instead of assumptions. Good science. The foundation exists to protect Higgins Lake and its watershed and gather reliable information. And that is what I have. So, Paul, let me make sure that I answer any questions.
I have several.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm not signing off on this till I get a couple of answers. So you answered you're not sure that it'd be shared with public health and environmental agencies, or it will be shared?
That decision has not been made.
Okay.
Okay? What
Can
I can tell you is that within the consent, we are telling people, look, if we get enough aggregated information, it may make sense for us to share that information.
Okay, I appreciate all of that. The second part
And
would
the
be,
point-
if you share it, will the Central Michigan District Health Department be the people you share it with?
We have not made that decision. It is, we
Okay.
said with health departments, so it is possible that we will share it with them.
Okay, it also says, and I think you already answered this, that the well owner will not be contacted for follow-up. Is that accurate?
That by the foundation, we will not. What happens is that when the,
You're fine, I'll
Well-
go through them quick.
sure, the Raven will talk to people. When people bring in their tests and they get the results back from Raven, Raven will explain to them if they have bacteria in their water or nitrates. So the foundation does not need to do that.
Okay, why wouldn't you consider contacting the property owner and asking them for their consent to share the results with whomever you please? You're basically saying, we're going to do this maybe. What's wrong with asking the property owner that that's what you're going to do? You'd like to share it? Ask them if it's okay with them.
We are asking them right up front, within the consent form, we are explaining to them that this data may be used with environmental agencies or other health-related areas. That is part of what those people are signing when they take the test.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, my personal position is I think that the residents need to understand who you're sharing it with and be given a chance to agree or disagree with that. Would you now include that option going forward?
It is part of the disclosure. It is part of the disclosure, so it is there.
Okay. So, when you do the tests, here's my problem with this. Central Michigan District Health Department, Steve King, for years, we went back and forth on this. He put the original GLUA map out with 146 red spots on it with all these horrible conditions. You say, how do you know? This is how I know. Those 146 big red dots were not fails. They were only presence of nitrate, not exceeding EPA standards, just presence, okay? I asked Mr. King, why do you have it designated? Tell me exactly how many were where. He wouldn't answer me. I kept asking him. He finally said, there's only 16 of those 140, and this was a couple years ago, 16 of those 140 some that actually exceeded an EPA standard for nitrates. I said, well, now we're getting somewhere. How many of them were the tests they do when they drill a new well? Because you force stuff in, the first tests are always bad. Wouldn't answer me. I persisted. How many? He said, I don't have that data. I don't know about that. So, Mr. King, where are the bad wells? They're all in Garish Township. 16 of them in 2 clusters. One is right west of the cemetery. The other one is down by Kelly Beach. There has never been a bad EPA well test in Lyon Township that I'm aware of up until that point. And I tracked it for a little while farther for nitrates. Mr. Osling and I went back and forth about this. He is going to contend that any presence of nitrates, irregardless of an EPA standard, is going to be a health hazard. And I believe that that's what the stand will be in the future saying, you need to do something about this because you have nitrates. My position is you need to follow the EPA. So my last question is, are you going to support, in the end, a nitrate presence less than EPA is going to be a health hazard?
Paul, the HLF is not a health-related.
It's a simple
Okay,
question.
Sure. Okay, but let me answer this for you, okay? Because what we're going to do, if somebody asks for the data, we're going to take that into consideration very seriously, all right? So we are not interpreting data. That is not who we are. We're going to send information to Steve Detmer, who tests his water, and we're going to say, here are the results, all right? We're not reporting anything to Steve. If we decide that that information should be released, then we will do that. But we're not going to make decisions relative to different levels of nitrates, okay? That's not who we are.
Okay.
What I would like to say, though, is that Steve King is no longer there. We have new people at the Central Michigan District Health Department. And so I don't know how they're going to treat the data. I can't tell you that, all right? But information is just simply information. You interpret it one way, somebody interprets it another way. Our intent is to gather information. The first thing is to make sure people know that the water they're drinking is safe. Secondarily, the point is, look, if there's something in the water, and this really came from what's happened over at Lake Marguerite and Wexford, to say, look, we just need to know if there's issues there. Okay, it didn't come from any other source. That's where that came from. Now, relative to nitrates, I agree with you, but I also understand that 10 parts per million is what is the standard, okay? But if you have a number like 6, all right, you need to kind of get an idea of where that could be coming from. And people are going to say, where you need to find the source, all right? Because nitrates can come from a lot of different places. And so you need to figure that one out, all right? And so, it's like you don't not do anything until you get to 10, because if you get to 10, then you probably have a problem.
And that is your position. I got it. I got 2 more questions and I'll be done with you. So if the Health of Higgins Lake Committee gets your data and it comes back from the Central Michigan District Health Department, and they won't lie, they're going to tell you which ones exceed EPA. Health of Higgins Lake Committee gets it and says, okay, we believe we need to do something about that because we believe that any presence of nitrates less than EPA is a health hazard. Will the Higgins Lake Foundation support the Health of Higgins Lake Committee on that position?
Let me make sure Paul, again, the foundation is
It's
not.
a simple question.
I can't answer that because
Okay.
we are not, the Hill and you need to understand the reason I can't is that the foundation is not a health-related organization.
They
So
supported the sewer.
I'm sorry?
They supported the sewer and a lot of the same conflict with Health Department and standards and Michigan codes. They strongly supported the sewer.
That has nothing to do, we support a lot of different organizations,
I can
okay?
accept that if you don't know now, you don't know. That's fine.
Well, no, I
That's all
can tell you that the foundation supports HOHL. Okay, that is public. We support the HOHL and the work that they're doing. Okay, I cannot tell you in the future if they take a position on this data, if we're going to support that.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you, sir.
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
All right, you often refer to CLMP data, and you use that as reference.
Yes.
Okay, Cooperative Lakes Management Program. Do you feel there's value in that data?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you know who collects that?
Yeah, you guys.
We do, and we've been doing it for over 15 years, okay?
And-
Now, I can't tell you, somebody else might look at that data and say, hey, I'm going to use it like this, and Paul Bertrand is going to use it like this, all right? We are collecting data for information purposes. How that data gets used, we don't really have a lot of control over that.
And
But
therein lies the problem. How it gets used is the problem. There's
and-
3
and-
kinds of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. And you can take a statistic and make it say whatever you want to do.
You're absolutely right, Steve.
And
But that
that's what
doesn't
I
mean.
don't like about this whole thing.
Yes, okay, but let me ask a question then. I mean, do we put our heads in the ground, okay? The stuff at Lake Marguerite in Wexford, if people did not at least collect data and look at it, we wouldn't know. I mean, we just don't know.
Like Marguerite is a unique situation. They got an army base there, and they were using foam that had the phosphates in it or whatever, and they polluted the water. That's not a Higgins Lake issue.
Well, the fact is that residents at Lake Marguerite found PFAS in the lake,
Okay.
okay?
I'm-
So
Let's
it's,
stay away from you're both right, but this isn't PFAS.
well.
And I don't want to go on forever. I had questions I asked
Sure,
and you answered.
you bet. Well, I want to make sure, I want to make sure that you
give
do
you the
support
last
this.
word.
Sure, I want to make sure that you do support this, all right? Because it's a great program. We have already found people we have a testimonial from someone who had a cracked wellhead. He thought the water was perfectly fine, and he's drinking it in his family. He has a cracked wellhead. He sent it, and I can send you that. He had bacteria in there. You can't taste nitrates or bacteria. He sent us and he said, thank you very much, because we had bacteria in there. We didn't know it was a cracked wellhead. So the results of what's happening are very positive already. So I want to make sure that you support this, because it's really important for the Lyon Township residents.
Okay?
I
Well
wanna-
stated.
I want to make it clear that I appreciate the efforts that you're going through, and I think you're for the right thing. I just want to see the whole picture.
Yeah, and Steve, if you guys want the data once it's collected, you need to ask the foundation, just like anybody else, and we will evaluate that and say, and sure. And then, again, you can use data in a lot of different ways, but we won't know till we find out. And that's the whole point, and that's why the foundation is doing it. There's no agenda there.
All right, you answered my questions. I don't know if anybody else on the
I
board.
just got
had-
one.
Hell, yeah, when's it gonna end?
Have,
19 minutes so far.
So much for 4.
Yeah.
Have you guys had a good turnout of people that are wanting this?
We have. We've placed our second order of kits. Our initial kit order was 200. We have ordered more, and there is real demand, and people are, it's exceeding our expectations at this point. People are finding out. Annual tests are recommended, by the EPA. And I don't know if you guys, down by Steve, there was a wellhead down there, water spewing up from the sides. It looked like Old Faithful. I don't know if you saw that, Steve. With the flooding, there's a lot of bacteria that goes down the sides of the pipes because things are eroding. So people do need to test their water.
Let's agree to disagree and move on. How's that sound?
Well, I'm hopeful that we can agree.
I'm done with it for this moment.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else got anything last?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, sir. Any other public comments? We'll shift gears and go that direction. Come on up, Jason.
Jason Trout's Lyon Township resident. One consideration you might also want to consider in terms of kind of food truck stuff, I've seen it become more and more popular for people to hire catering businesses, and they don't show up in a food truck. However, they're putting out the food spreads. I didn't hear anybody talk about that. It might be a consideration that you add that to your
It's probably a good suggestion. Put
contractual
catering
thing.
in there.
Because I think you can get food poisoning from caterers. Well, I'm absolutely sure of that. And you just passed on the paperwork for the millage stuff, so I thought I'd ask the million-dollar elephant question. Homesteaded millage is going to be what rate? Steve? You approved
I'm
it?
not the guy.
Paul, you approved it, what was?
The homestead millage is as presented, if you want me
Okay.
to look for it.
So. let's just-
This stuff comes from Julie Tatro through the treasurer's office and to us. I'm not gonna argue with him about it. If I don't know, I guess I don't know right now.
Okay. Greg, you approved it? Well,
These, these are what we approved is the
okay.
the millage rates. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them on here.
Okay. Is that possible to get it from you maybe afterwards? Would that shorten things up and make it a
Sure.
little more better?
You know,
So-
looking at it,
It's actually less than last year.
I'm sorry?
the homestead isn't on here, but maybe it's hidden in something.
Oh, we see fire, roads, park, cemetery, the fire equipment and general fund. That's all that's on.
So they're all non-homesteaded is what you're?
I don't see it, but this, you know, that's why we have an assessor and a treasurer, and
Okay, so Kevin, I can get it from you right
Sure.
afterwards? Okay, thank you. Thank you for all your help.
Jason, anybody else got something to say today? Oh, the Grim Reaper, he wants to come up. All right, this ought to be good. Here's where we get tore up from somebody on the inside who knows us.
Discount on the markers.
10% off your burial.
Yeah.
A little disappointed you didn't serve beers on these hot days at these meetings, so.
Yeah, well,
I have two things. The first thing, I've had, as ordinance officer, I've had 3 complaints of where people are blowing leaves. One was a formal complaint the other day where the guy literally blew the leaves in the middle of the road. It was over on Jackson Street. It was a dirt road, but it's a 2-lane road going both ways. We don't have an ordinance regarding leaf blowing. I believe that we should have an ordinance with leaf blowing, that you can't blow leaves on other people's property, you can't blow leaves in the street. Mainly, we have a compost, they can take these leaves to. There's not much I can do for this guy because we don't have an ordinance, except get my blower and blow him back on his lawn. I really believe that we need to have some kind of leaf ordinance of where people are allowed to blow
I think there's a county law against
leaves.
blowing leaves out into the road.
I'm sorry, what's that, Steve?
There's a county law against blowing leaves out into the road. It's actually called littering the road.
It's not a county road, though. It's, that, if it was a county road, yeah, I knew that,
Yeah.
and there was something I could do, but it's not a county road. So I'm making that suggestion, the board to consider coming up with some kind of leaf blowing ordinance.
It's a good idea.
I can look at what other townships do. That's generally the best place to start.
Let's be a leader, not a follower. Anyway,
No, I was gonna say, if they don't have anything, yeah, that's a red flag. That means people have thought about this, tried it in the last 50 years, and there's problems.
okay. Okay, I mentioned this to Paul and Kevin about Michigan Central, and that we own that property down there off Elm Street, next to Ambets, and I got this information from Julie today.
Cool.
So as it turns out, if I can read this, in 1985, the county granted that property to the township. So we do own it, as it states on this little map here, if you can read that little writing there. So we do own it. That's a place where people go and they sunbathe, so forth and so on. Well, presently, there's weeds this high over there, and there needs to be some sand. So I guess the question was, do we own it? Well, we do own it.
Nice job.
And hopefully we'll maintain it.
Thank you for finding that out. We certainly went there before once, and the conflict in the ownership is what stopped it. Also, the needing to get DNR approval to put sand there, which was different than just take care of what's there. But the conflicting ownership, if that's what happened and it's in writing somewhere, I don't have a problem pursuing it.
According to Julie, by what she just gave me today, we do own this. And it was granted to us by the county in 1985.
Well, I can go through my files, because we were here before, a year ago. And let me see about it. I don't know about the sand, but we can certainly try and reclaim the beach area part of that and make it nicer.
If nothing else, maybe weed whack and rake some of the sand down.
Don't rake it into the water.
No, not in the water.
You'll end up with a ticket. Okay, so
Okay.
keeping it clean, maybe we can get right on, and,
There's a nice patch of spearmint right there.
I'm sorry, what's
is
that?
there really?
There's a nice patch of spearmint right there.
I've been looking for some.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll disappear now.
I mean, when I was younger, I used to go down to that beach, and we used to have the whole beach, and then when the people that own it now claim that they own that, with the new, well, not the new law, but the road end issue. But we
Well,
do
that
own, we
brings
do
up a
own that.
So this is, since the Jacob rule, did this change our ownership?
No.
Okay. We may find out people have different opinions about that.
Of course they do. All
All
right,
right, certainly. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Any other public comment? Mr. Bedouin, step right up.
Sam Bedoyan Jr., Higgins Lake. To further comment what Steve mentioned, it was transferred from the Road Commission to Lyon Township. Tim O'Rourke was the manager at the time, and we always thought the AMVets owned it for years and years and years, so the Road Commission transferred it over to the Lyon Township. You guys own it.
And that was in 85?
I can't give you the date.
Okay,
I gave
because
it-
it's the AMVets that's telling me that it's theirs.
I'm, matter of record, quote me. Tim
Okay.
O'Rourke was even here years ago and said it was a crack. We always thought the AMVets. We all did. Craig Williams and all of us that lived here for years thought it was AMVets. And then all of a sudden, there was a crack in the wall. Tim O'Rourke came to the township, provided documentation. You can just contact the road commission. It's on file. You own it. That's a quote. So I'll just stop right there. But it's Bass, not Elm. It's down by Bass. And
Yeah.
for the record, Bass is a road end. It's not there, but it's deeded as a road end. Elm is there's a road, it's paved, it's documented, there's a dock. That's not a big deal. We all know it's a road end. But there is documentation that does support that Bass is a road end, but that's neither here nor there. But that doesn't interfere with your property. What I wanted to comment, to try and help these folks on Swimmer's Itch. For those of you who know that I'm a volunteer for the I-500 up in Sault Ste. Marie. We hold the largest 1-mile track for snowmobile racing in February. But what happened years ago, there was a flood. We lost the building. We didn't know which way to go. So our chairman at the time was Rick Federal. And State Senator Boer, Darwin Boer, was an avid snowmobiler. So Rick talked to Darwin. They went to the state. Talked to the legislators. They discussed it. This event is a tourist attraction for Michigan, bringing in millions of dollars. We obtained, the I-500 board obtained a $250,000 grant by going through the motions of contacting the state rep. They went to the site. Other members went to the site to see. They took it back to Lansing. You folks can do the same thing. If this is causing some interruption in tourism, invite the state rep or your state senator to review the situation. If it warrants, they can take it back to a committee. I'm just saying, we were just pulling strings. We had no idea that we could even get this money, but we went and asked. So I'm just leaving it at that for these folks to see where there's another avenue.
Next time you talk to Timothy, will you please tell him that?
I'll be glad to.
Yeah, because he likes to chase that stuff down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public? Oh, sorry.
No, I just got a question. Do you guys know how many have been documented this year so far?
I do not, but I can
Is there-
look it up and see. I mean, I would only be able to know.
Just what they
what's been
replied?
reported, but yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely been an increase, but I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
It's nasty when they did it. Nasty stuff.
Yeah.
But thank you for that, Sam.
And while we're there, this is an increase compared to the last couple of years, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, something's different. Could be, weather, but I mean, something's different.
Well, about 5 years ago, a nice lady came up to the house and she said, I heard you had some kids that got the swimmer's itch. And I said, no, it wasn't here, it's across the road, a little road called Fox, it's near me. And she suggested something to them that I never heard before, but it stuck in the back of my mind. We have not had a case at our house, but she says use the bar of Fells naphtha. Turn that into a lather, put it on your skin and let it dry, and your itching will stop almost immediately.
There's truth to that.
I've heard it before.
That is
Oh,
true.
you think it works, Sam?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There's also a salve that's called Higgins, no, not Higgins, swimmer's itch preventative. Smells a little bit like gasoline,
Yeah.
but it works.
Yeah, one of the ladies told me they had used that.
Yeah, that's true. They do it well.
I make plantain salve, and that works really good on swimmer's itch, too.
Pancakes, did you say?
Plantain salve.
Plantain, oh, that makes more sense. Pancakes?
He wants to use pancakes, let him use pancakes. He's a policeman.
All right, enough of all of this, I think. No other comments? Go ahead, sir. Is this the other 4 minutes or a different thing?
This is, no, this is unrelated to just a couple of things.
Yeah, the first one took so long, I certainly.
And my
give it a
apologies for
shot.
that, but I want to,
It's all right.
I'm not talking about that right now.
Don't go back there now.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Number one, you guys have some tools available right now relative to meeting notes. You have a tool right now where things are being recorded. I would recommend that you guys talk to Kodiak and see if they can help you prepare the meeting notes. And Pam had mentioned, to get them in the format, the stuff that I had done for Greg, the sample, where she said we're not in the format that you guys wanted, all right? But you can get them in the format that you need, okay? And have Kodiak do that for you. Just say, hey, look, these are the format of the notes. They're being recorded, and then have you guys look at it. But you already have a tool that's doing it, and sort of like, a king, on a battlefield who's fighting with swords. I mean, you guys are fighting with swords, and you got a machine gun over here that can deliver a much better product, and you can get it the way you want it.
I
So-
could certainly ask Kodiak. We went this route and
Good
it would
idea.
not produce the motions. And you still, when you read it, it was unintelligible. I can ask Kodiak.
Well, I can, the stuff that I sent you, I think Greg looked at them, they certainly were intelligible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I can
anyway,
ask
all right,
Kodiak. That
I
would
just,
be-
again,
that
just,
might be a possibility.
just a thought for you guys, I wanted to mention that over the holiday, Samoset, the road ends, there were about 4 of them, and they were like jammed with people. It was incredibly busy. I didn't stay down there, but I'm aware that one of the residents there went to some people who were carrying on in ways that were really disruptive. So the property owner went up and asked them. A fight ensued. Okay, are you guys aware of this?
No.
By any chance? All right, it was a very negative situation. All right, now,
Fist fight?
yes, blood. I mean, yeah, it was.
Call police?
Okay, I don't know what happened. I think that they may be preparing something. Okay, I would hope they are, but I think that we talk about needing some law enforcement. You think about ordinances. Bruce, the other day, I was driving down West Higgins Lake Drive. There's an STR there, okay? There were 3 trucks, a 21-foot boat, 4 motorcycles, and then a truck parked on the opposite side of the road because there was no more room for parking, all right? It's an STR. I know it is. I mentioned it to Bruce. He drove by, all right? Now, there were about 5 big guys in there, all right? So anybody who's going to look at that and say, do I want to go down there and tell those guys they got to park someplace else? I
Were they
think
on private property?
Well, it was along the
Were
road.
they on private property?
They were.
If they were, call the police.
Well, right, but again, Paul, it's,
I'm listening, but I need to check that, because I think you
sure.
quit running.
The issue is that people don't really want to do that. And you want to be decent with your neighbors. And if we had I think if there was, I don't know, the ordinance officer, I mean, who's going to take care of the parking? Okay, if somebody violates that parking, are we going to call Bruce? We're not going to call the sheriff. Those guys aren't going to come. So if they're violating the parking, who does that? I don't know.
You just call the sheriff.
I think it just shut off.
Yeah.
But this did.
Well, I shut the door. Did the mic clip?
Yep.
You know what? It might have just run out of battery.
No, I hear
I don't know.
Is it? Okay.
Got nothing.
And,
Mine's full.
No, but you,
Does the light green on top?
yeah, mine is.
yeah, but not green.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
green.
green. Yep.
Yeah, it all out.
Says they're working. Are they all out?
Yeah, no, they're not
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, talk into it.
Yep.
I did. You can't hear me?
Yeah, something just changed.
That's not, oh, wait a minute. The door did shut that one off. Try that.
Test.
Yep.
There we go.
There you go.
So anyway, I do think that, just for your information, the expectation that the property owner is going to go up and maybe address people when there's things that are going on is probably not realistic. People don't want to call the police. So I think that as you make decisions about things, I hope you keep that in mind. I sent Bruce some pictures of it. I did not file a formal complaint. But as you talk about parking, what you need, it's important to keep that stuff in mind.
All right, you're gonna have to wrap it up, sir.
When we ever get an STR done, someone like that guy would be warned, however we're gonna decide, once or twice, and then he's done.
Right.
No more
Well,
STR.
You know what, and it is a lady who comes here and says that she takes care of her property. It was her place, so.
Okay, just for the sake of safety and clarity, wait till he's done. The standard advice will always be, and I have said this, I don't know how many times, if you have a serious trespassing issue or if you feel in danger, call the police. So if somebody went over there to argue with these people, that was their first wrong move.
Well-
If you end up in a conflict like that and you went over there, what is it, buyer beware? I'm not saying any of that's right. I'm saying call the police for damn sake.
I don't,
And I know you don't want to, but I'm going to keep saying call the police because we're not 24/7. He ain't getting out of bed and going over there, and there's going to be things that happen. Well, anyway, I don't want to. Okay, I hear you.
I think just please understand that dynamic exists and how you address that.
And once we do have an ordinance and somebody hopefully will lodge a confidential complaint,
There-
then that gives us the opportunity to go to that homeowner saying, hey,
Exactly.
this happens one more time.
Exactly.
Your license
In
is
writing-
out.
In writing or a police report.
And the person
Then we
doesn't
got-
have to, go up and confront them. There'll be a telephone number of the liaison person for that property. You call that person up and you go, hey, these guys are noisy, they're parking in the wrong spot, do something about it. And then and they're supposed to be within so many miles, they're supposed to be able to go do something about it.
Exactly. There's all kinds of things built in, but you can't be anonymous. And it's certainly, I would not suggest you go over there and start telling people to stop doing it.
Yeah, and please keep in mind, the he said, she said stuff. I mean, it's not going to,
That's
a
why it's
complaint
gotta be-
on a Saturday, I mean, that's not going to get lodged until the next Monday, probably, here. And then,
Wrap it up for us, Jason?
Just one quick comment. You are able to make a police request and call.
You certainly can.
And there's a specific protocol to go through if you are afraid of retaliation.
That's what they're for.
Yep.
Or if you file a formal complaint, then I can send that person a letter for the violation. And go from there.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna,
Absolutely, one last, please keep in mind that, again, it's after the fact. Somebody might say, that didn't happen, okay? The STR owner can say, that didn't happen. So the person who's raising the complaint, do we need to take some pictures?
Yes,
What might
certainly.
we have to accommodate
Certainly.
with that complaint
take
to be
pictures, take
helpful?
videos, don't get in
More
fights.
information, yeah, definitely the better.
Well,
All right, I'm gonna call it. I would entertain a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I make a motion.
Okay, I'll
Second.
second it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same. All right, we are done. Turn those mics off and I'll go shut everything else.
You know, they'll have to come out when they get a call or any complaint.
They have to.
Oh, yeah. They do. 911. Oh, man.